On October 1st, we did the annual 9/11 walk, and I've been going for several years. And they tell me, we went to Charleston. I remember getting off work because we got new uniforms that day, and that's the last thing I remember. I get a glimmer every now and then. They tell me we went to Charleston, my wife and myself and some friends. We had the ceremonies and we got to walking, and I had turnout gear on, but I had my liner out because it's hot still. The total walk is about 6 miles. Well, going over from the Charleston side, you know, it's a steady rise, and it goes on, and they tell me I walked out fine. I come down to the Mount Pleasant side. They tell me we stopped and rested a little bit, and I was coming back with Jesse Bussey, one of our firefighters.
He kind of stopped for a second, and it was like, I'm a little dizzy, a little lightheaded. I'm like, well, do you need to stop? If we need to stop and go back down to the other side, we'll take a break and, everything like that. It's like, he kind of shook it off. He's like, no, I'm good,
And we were coming back, and he said, we were discussing training, and he said that all of a sudden I said, I feel dizzy, and I hit the concrete.
The whole time in my head, I'm like, this can't be happening, Greg. Don't do this to me right here, He kind of started like gasping for air, and his lips started turning blue. So I was like, oh crap. I said some other expletives, but I'm just thinking to myself, like, what's going on with this? The training kind of kicked in. I couldn't see any chest rise, so I knew he wasn't breathing, no pulse. You gotta start doing compression. So I'm throwing off my helmet, I'm throwing off my sunglasses, I'm dropping my air pack and everything, and I start doing compressions. And finally, I can't remember what department they were from. I want to say it's like Pimlico. They were the two gentlemen that we had passed on the way going back up. So they heard what was going on. They came up and they started helping with rescue breaths. And a little bit after they got there, that's when, like, it seemed like the world descended on us. I mean, there's ambulances, fire trucks. I mean, people are diving over the barrier trying to get to them. And I'm finishing my last round of compressions, and the EMT is like, all right, I'll take over for you. So they finally get Greg on a spine board. They get him secured, and they get him in ambulance. Now we got to figure out where Marty's at, because she has no idea that this is going on.
All I knew is that Mr. Greg fell out. You need to come with us. And nobody said what fell out meant until they put me in a truck to take me to the hospital, and then they said, well, he had a heart attack. I said, okay, so how bad is he? They said, well, we lost him once. I said, what do you mean you lost him? And they said he was non-responsive.
We get in the car and we head to the hospital. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, is Greg gonna be okay? Did I do good compressions? Did I give enough rescue breaths? Did I open his airway enough? Did I start my compressions early enough? Did EMS get there early enough to start pushing drugs? And like, all these things are going on in my head.
I get to the hospital, found out they lost him in the truck also, in the ambulance. And in the hospital, they asked me, well, if we lose him again, do you want us to bring him back? That was probably the scariest time in my life. He's supposed to be there, we're supposed to grow old together, and we might be halfway there, but we're not there yet. So, and then for him to go down where he did, walking a benefit walk was just inconceivable.
To be at an event honoring first responders and firemen and law enforcement, and to have that many people around to be able to provide that quick response to help him still be here, is amazing.
I was in there weeks before I even knew what was going on. They had me in hypothermia. They lowered my body temperature, and they had me on a machine called an ECMO, which is like a heart-lung machine, hooked into my neck. They found 2 more blockages on the back of the heart. They took care of them, and they told me, and they whispered to me, said, well, you're gonna have to have open heart, we can't get to it. And I said, I thought I was dreaming.
We were at the hospital for 28 days. And I stayed there the whole time, and I left just to go and go to the laundromat, wash my clothes, come back, or pick up some microwavable foods, and come right back to the hospital again. But the whole time that we were there, and I told Greg this later, I said, even though when I was alone, because everybody has their jobs they have to go to, their families, I was in the lobby alone, but never felt alone.
There was an outpouring of people.
He'd always told me about brotherhood, and I thought, well, that's just TV, it's not for real. But it was for real.
They make sure she was fed. They make sure she had clothes. I have friends now I didn't know I had. I had a battalion chief, he was the assistant chief of Charleston Fire Department. He's in there every other day checking on me.
And he was my hospital angel because he stayed by my side for like 3 days. Other people from Charleston, St. Andrews, folks from here in Aiken County drove down there just to visit, knowing he couldn't talk to them, but being there to support him, support me, which just blew my mind because a lot of these folks I didn't know.
Then there's a battalion chief from St. Andrews checked on me every day. Firefighters, one of my really good friends I made, he checked on me every day. And there was somebody every day making sure I was okay, or make sure my wife was okay. I have some friends that moved to Charleston, made sure my wife had a bed to sleep in. He went and bought her an air mattress to sleep on. It was just a great outpouring.
I knew I could pick up the phone and text somebody, call someone. I knew they were praying for him and for me. And I never felt alone. Just little things like that were just so wonderful. And so I saw the brotherhood. We could not have survived without the insurance. I mean, really, we had insurance with another company. They gave us grief over filing the claim. They kept saying, well, maybe he had a pre-existing condition that he didn't treat, so we need to make sure that that's not what happened. Your insurance company came in and cut us a check without a question, helped us to keep our house, pay our bills. Without your insurance, we couldn't have made it. We would have probably been out on the street or, looking for Chapter 11 or something. But your company kept us there.